I've spent thousands of dollars on fragrances. I'm talking clones, designers, empty bottles from eBay, and actually not a single high quality niche fragrance for some unknown reason. But if I had started my entire fragrance collection with the knowledge that I have now, I would have spent half the amount of money, have half the amount of fragrances, but have double the amount of dates. So I threw all of my fragrances into the fiery pits of hell and started from scratch. If you are new to collecting and want to save some money, then you are welcome to follow along, but I only have 3 minutes and 35 seconds left to explain, so you've got to focus. There are many families and subcategories of fragrances, but the 4 general ones are floral, woody, fresh, and oriental. Generally, people will tell you to buy fragrances from all of the families so that you have a big variety and can have a fragrance that suits every single occasion as well as every season. But personally, I don't think it's necessary to have a fragrance from each family. Because if you are new to buying fragrances and you really want to love every single fragrance that you buy, then don't feel peer pressured to buy a spicy date night fragrance if you know that you don't like spicy fragrances. A fresh fragrance that you love can still be worn on a date night. Now, if you're just starting, you might not know which type of fragrance you like, but that's okay, just keep that in mind. But if you want to know more about why there are seasonal fragrances and more specific occasions that you would want to wear them to, then watch this video that's tagged above. Now, my first few fragrances were absolute blind buys, meaning I bought full-size bottles without ever trying or even smelling them. But yours don't need to be, because my biggest tip for this video is buying small decant bottles. Personally, I like to buy 2 milliliter bottles. I think it is the perfect size if you want to sample it but don't want to commit to it. This is significantly cheaper than buying entire bottles and will eventually save you hundreds of dollars on fragrances you might not love. And there are so many websites to buy them on. Now, once you have tried a few sample bottles, you can start doing some thinking. Take the ones you like the most and look them up on a website like Fragrantica. Look through the notes and all the fragrances that you liked and see if there's any overlapping or similar notes. If there are, then boom, you know what notes to look for when you're searching for your next fragrance. However, notes cannot always be totally trusted, but knowing what notes smell like what by looking up all your samples and stuff will eventually help with blind buys. The next step is to buy full-size bottles of the samples that you liked, and for your first 2 to 3 fragrances, I do suggest getting full-sized 100 milliliter bottles. If you want the best prices, then get them from discounters, not from big retailers like Dillard's. Some options I use are FragranceNet, Fragrance X, Fragrance Buy, and Joma Shop. I personally have never had problems with them sending fakes or anything like that, but do not buy from eBay unless you want bleach water inside your Dior Sauvage like it was in mine, and also be very careful and thorough on Amazon. Remember that no matter how much it feels like it though, fragrances are not a need in life, so be careful when you're spending your money and just be wise. I know it's tempting, but you don't need to buy 4 at a time, so just take it slow and easy. Now, once you've bought your first big 3 bottles, my next suggestion is actually to start buying smaller bottle sizes. For me personally, once I started getting past owning 5 bottles, most of my fragrances started to last me for practically an eternity. I have so many 100 milliliter bottles that I paid full price for that are still like 3/4 of the way full after like 2 years. So if you want to save a little extra money, maybe consider buying 50 milliliter fragrances instead of 100 milliliters, especially if the price difference is big between the 2 sizes. Now your collection has started to build, and it's always okay to stop here with just having a few fragrances that you love. But if you want to be borderline obsessive and take it a step further, then try branching out into fragrances that have different notes that you thought you wouldn't be too fond of at first. My taste and sense has changed dramatically over the past 3 years, so if you have the money, then try branching out to new fragrances, but remember to almost always buy samples first. My last important suggestion is to not be obsessed with designer fragrances and don't be afraid of clones. There are so many $30 to $50 fragrances that are way better than designers, and there are so many clones that do amazing for the fraction of the price. But I've actually been working on something to help expose you guys to more fragrances, as well as bring lesser known non-designer fragrances to light, as well as an online community to help discuss these new fragrances, as well as vote on your favorites and things of that nature. But I'm going to talk about that more in a later time. For now, thank you guys for watching. Peace.